बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम वसल्लल्लाहु अला नबील करीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी वयस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़्दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। I would like to say a few words about Muslims in diaspora. Literally, diaspora means living in exile. Those people who left their homeland and settled in some other places, they are called diaspora. According to the history, the first diaspora began in Greece, then in different countries. The well-known diaspora was that of Jewish diaspora. In 500 BC, king of Babel attacked Jerusalem. He captured Palestine and destroyed the Jewish Heikel. This was a great tragedy for Jewish people. They, under compulsion, under political persecution, they left their homeland and dispersed in other countries in large number. So perhaps this was the biggest diaspora in the history. Then the process of diaspora continued, and also we find some examples in Islamic history. There is a very relevant hadith that tells us a very important aspect of diaspora. The Prophet of Islam has said, when the Prophet migrated from Mecca to Medina, he said, "Innamal a'malu bin-niyyat, faman kanat hijratuhu ila Allah wa rasulihi, fa hijratuhu ila Allah wa rasulihi. Waman kanat hijratuhu ila dunya yasibuha am imra'atan yankahuha, fa hijratuhu ila ma hajara ilayh." It means that action depends on intention. Actions depend on intention. So, whoever migrated for the sake of God, his migration is for the sake of God. And whoever migrated for material interest, so his migration is for the sake of material interest. In this hadith, the word used is hijra. Hijra literally means migration. But diaspora has the same meaning. I think that hijra, in other words, means diaspora. So, according to this hadith, there are two kinds of diaspora: negative diaspora and positive diaspora. Negative diaspora is one that is for the sake of material interest, and positive diaspora is one that is for some higher purposes, like dawa work. So, all those diaspora we find in history, mostly they were negative diaspora, because there were only two reasons behind this diaspora. Either they left their homeland due to political persecution or religious persecution, and the second were those group who migrated their homeland to find some better job in other places or some better economic opportunities in other countries. So these diaspora were negative diaspora according to the hadith. And positive diaspora is one that is for some higher purposes, like dawah work. Here I would like to say a few words about positive diaspora. According to my study, the first positive diaspora in history was that of Abraham, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. You know, Abraham or Ibrahim was a well-known prophet. He was born in Iraq. Then he traveled several countries. He migrated from Iraq to Egypt. Then he traveled to Urdun and Palestine and Syria. And lastly, he traveled to Mecca. At that time, Mecca was a desert. He settled his family in Mecca. So this travel or migration was the first positive diaspora in history. This was completely a positive diaspora because there was no other purpose than the dawa work. Dawa work. You know, diaspora means mobility, interaction. So during all these travel, he interacted people in different countries. He spread the message of God. So it was an international diaspora, an international mobility, international dawa work. In Islamic tradition, Abraham is called Abul Anbiya, father of the prophets. Why? Because he was the first to set a great example for international dawa work. So Abraham's migration was the first positive diaspora in history. And he established a center at Mecca that is well known as Kaaba. Kaaba is the international center of Tawheed, of Dawa work, of divine mission. So we can rightly say that Abraham or Hazrat Ibrahim was the champion in this field. He set a great example of positive diaspora. Then the second positive diaspora was that which occurred during Jesus Christ, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. There is a hadith that tells us that Jesus Christ addressed to his disciples and said, "O my disciples are Hawariyin." The word used in Quran is Hawari. O my disciples or my Hawari, you have to spread the word of God throughout the world. So go out at the time they were in Jerusalem, in Palestine. So Jesus Christ said, leave Palestine and go in other countries and spread the message of God. So these disciples said, how we can fulfill this mission? We don't know the language of other countries. In those countries where you are sending us, they speak different languages. We don't know that languages. Jesus Christ said, no, God will help you. Go. So they traveled and settled in different countries. And Hadith says that when they settled in those countries, they were able to speak the language of those people. How it happened? I think it was not a miracle. No, it was a simple phenomena, a simple historic phenomena. You know, when they settled over there, they tried to interact those people. So during interaction, rather than through miracle, during interaction, they began learning their language. It is a natural process. Everywhere you find some people who are living in countries other than their homeland, and they speak fluently that language. How? Not by miracle. For the simple reason that when they settled over there, and so during interaction, they began learning that language. And finally, they were expert of that language. They became expert of that language. So happened with disciples of Jesus Christ. It was not miracle that they began speaking the language of those people. It was simply a social process, simply result of interaction, simply result of dialogue, simply living with those people. So it happened. So according to my knowledge, this was the second positive diaspora. And you know, this diaspora was a great success. Due to this diaspora, Christianity spread all over the world. Now, Christianity is the largest religion in the world. Largest religion of the world in terms of number. So here is a comparison. You know, Jewish community also went in diaspora in large number, but they failed to spread their religion. Whereas you find that Christians went in diaspora, they successfully spread their religion throughout the world. Why this difference? Why Jewish people fail to spread their religion, and why Christians were successful in spreading their religion everywhere in countries. The reason is that Christianity is a missionary religion. Christians have a mission. It is their mission to spread their religion throughout the world. But Jewish religion is not, at present, is not a missionary religion. Jewish people have no target to spread their religion throughout the world. They believe in that Jewish people are those who were born in Jewish tribes. So it is a racial religion, the missionary religion. Jewish religion is at present is simply a racial religion. So they have no zeal to spread their religion. Although Jewish people went in diaspora in large number, but they failed to spread their religion because they have no zeal. They have no such mission. So at present, Jewish religion is not a missionary religion, but Christianity is a missionary religion. So everywhere they settle, they try to spread the message of Christ, message of their religion. So there are million people who embraced Christianity. Then according to my knowledge, then the third positive diaspora began during the Prophet of Islam. The third positive diaspora during Meccan period, when the Prophet of Islam was in Mecca before migration, near about after 10 years of his prophethood, near about 10 years after his prophethood, there were persecution in Mecca. So Prophet of Islam asked Sahaba to migrate from Mecca and settle in Habash. So according to the record, men and women both migrated from Mecca and settled in Habash, that is Abyssinia or Ethiopia. So at that time, there was a very just king ruling the Ethiopia. The ancient name is Habash. So Habash or Abyssinia or Ethiopia. So these Sahaba traveled through Red Sea and arrived in Habash and settled over there. So at that time, the king was Najashi. In Arab accounts, the name is given Najashi, Najashi, Najashi. But in English references, you will find the name Negus, Negus. So in Arabic books, it is Najashi, and in English book it is Negus, Negus. Negus or Najashi was a Christian king, but he was very pious, very religious, and also very just. So he welcomed those Sahaba and he asked them to come over to visit him, and he asked them to tell what is the message of their prophet, who is the Prophet Muhammad and what is his message. So, according to Islamic account, a group of Sahaba met Najashi, and one Sahabi, his name was Jafar Tayyar. Jafar Tayyar addressed in his darbar. So, according to Islamic account, Najashi was influenced with his speech, and he said that you are free to live in our country, and you are free to even he allowed them to do dawah work. So the present country, which is named Eritrea, was the result of that Sahabi, that positive diaspora. So these Sahaba who settled in Habash, they were in eastern part of Abyssinia. So at present the name of this part is Eritrea. Now it is a free country and it is under Muslim rule. So there are, at the coastal area, there are some people who speak Arabic. So that influence was so strong that even today they speak English. So this was the third positive diaspora. And the influence of this diaspora we can see in the form of Eritrea. There is a Muslim country. Then, according to here I would like to say that although these Muslims migrated from Mecca due to some persecution, but when they settled in Ethiopia, they tried to meet those people. So naturally there was interaction, there was discussions, there was dialogue. So simply by their presence in Ethiopia, began the work over there. The result is Eritrea. So diaspora may be some other reasons, but it is but natural that it becomes a dawah. It becomes a dawah work. If you believe in a religion, you believe in God, in Islam and in Quran, so it is but natural that you will tell those people about your religion, about your ideology, and that is our work. So this was the third positive diaspora in Islamic history. Here I would like to say that generally people think that diaspora must be in large number, but I don't believe like this. It is not number that count, it is quality that counts. So even if they were few in number, but I call them a positive diaspora, because through these people there was a dawah work. there was a positive mission. So the fourth diaspora was during Prophet. And this diaspora was from Mecca to Medina. When in Mecca there was some difficulties, some atrocities, some injustice, so Muslims, including Prophet, was compelled to leave Mecca. So they left Mecca and settled in Medina. This was the fourth diaspora in Islamic history. When these people settled in Medina, it was but natural again that the works began, because they were men of mission. They were believing in God, they were believing in Quran, they were believing in Islam. So when they settled in Medina, there was interaction. So during these interaction, there was dialogue, there was discussions. Through these dialogue and discussion, Islam began spreading in Medina. There is a tradition, this tells us that at some time in Medina there was a trialogue. And three religions participated in that program. One, Muslims; second, Jews; and third, Christians. So after migration, there was discussion, dialogue, and sometimes there was a trialogue, and the representative of three religions gathered in the masjid of Medina, and there was discussion, and I don't know the exact number of those people, but it was a trialogue. So migration from Mecca to Medina was fourth positive diaspora in Islamic history. And the result was great. The whole Medina was Islamized, and Medina became the center of Islam. And it was this positive diaspora that resulted into Islamization the whole Arabia. It was a great diaspora in Islamic history, as far as the result is concerned. Then there was the fifth diaspora. This occurred after the death of the Prophet of Islam. You know, before his death, Prophet performed Hajj, which is called Hajjatul Wada in Islamic history. So after performing Hajj, the Prophet of Islam addressed his companions in the Arafat. At that time, there were 140,000 companions with the Prophet, or 105,000 Muslims with the Prophet. So Prophet addressed these Muslims in Arafat, in the field of Arafat. In this speech, he said, addressing to those Muslims, that Inna Allah basani kafatal linnas fa'addu anni. O my companions, O Muslims, God has sent me as a prophet, as a messenger for all mankind. So it is your duty to spread this message to all mankind. it was. So what happened after this? After performing Hajj, the majority of Sahaba went out of Arabia. At that time there were 1,40,000 Muslims with the Prophet. But now, if you visit Makkah and Medina, you hardly you hardly find 10,000 graves of those Sahaba in Makkah and Medina. Only 10,000. It means that the majority of those Muslims or majority of those Sahaba migrated. This was the fourth diaspora in Islamic history. Fourth or fifth diaspora in Islamic history. And the result was very, very great. You know, it was the result of this positive diaspora that a vast land of Asia and Africa was Islamized. Now we call this area Muslim area or Arab world. The present Arab world was directly a result of that positive diaspora that occurred after the death of the Prophet of Islam. Then let us take the present diaspora. We are living in the age of communication. All those diaspora were before the communication age. At that time, traveling was very difficult, very, very difficult. But now we are living in the age of communication. Now, traveling is very easy. The whole world is like a global village, a single village. So now the diaspora, the phenomena of diaspora is everywhere. You can see everywhere because of the communication. So according to one estimate, there are near about 10 million Muslims living in different countries. 10 million. These Muslims left their homeland and settled in European countries or in America, in what we call developed countries. They left their homeland and settled in developed countries. Why? Because there were better jobs for them and better economic opportunities for them. So initially, this diaspora was due to find some better job, better opportunities in material sense. But again, I would like to say that these Muslims were having a religion that is a missionary religion. These Muslims believe in Islam. Although they migrated for some material incentive, material motivation, but these Muslims were believing in Islam. They were a believer of Islam. Islam is a missionary religion. Islam has a mission to spread all over the world. So whenever they settled, they became a missionary, either directly or indirectly. I'm not saying that their incentive was dawah work, but indirectly dawah work began. During interaction, during discussion, during dialogue. Here I will give you an example how this migration, how this diaspora resulted into Dawa work. Once I was living as a guest in some European country, perhaps in Britain. So my host was uh, a Muslim. He migrated from some Muslim country and now he is living in Britain. So I saw one day I saw that some Christian workers were doing some work in his house. They belong to working class. Then there was a dialogue between the owner and those workers. The owner, the Muslim owner, said to those Christian workers, "You see, your clergy is befooling you." They said, "How?" He said, "See the philosophy of atonement." What is atonement? Atonement means that sin you that you committed a sin, and Jesus Christ was punished for your due to your sin. They said that Jesus Christ crucified himself to overcome your sin. It is irrational. It is irrational. He said, you committed a sin and some other person was punished for your sin. So they try to believe you that Jesus Christ by crucifixion overcome your sin. He took away your sin. So they said, Mr. Khan, you are right. You are right. This is dialogue. This dialogue was a natural dialogue during interaction. But it became our work. So when these Muslims settled in different countries, in Europe and America, so although their intention was not our work initially, but when they settled over there was interaction. And during interaction began our work. So according to present survey, there are near about 1 lakh people who are embracing Islam every year. In Western countries, more than 1 lakh people are embracing Islam every year. It is due to this interaction. It is due to this interaction. So, as I said earlier, at present there are near about 10 million Muslims living in diaspora. This diaspora is potentially a positive diaspora. Actually, it is a diaspora, but potentially it is a positive diaspora. Why? If these Muslims try to avail those opportunities present in Western countries, they can do a great dawah work, because these developed countries, these Western countries have a good communication. Everywhere there are religious freedom. So religious freedom is there, communication is there, all the infrastructure is there. All those opportunities are there. So if these Muslims try to avail these opportunities, they can do dawah work on a great scale. I say that these Muslims should adopt the formula of one man, two mission. It is my formula, one man, two mission. And every Muslim must adopt this formula. 50% of his time, 50% of his strength is for his living. Everyone wants some material need. Everyone in need of some economic earning. So he must devote his 50% of his strength for earning and 50% for dawah work. 50% of his time and energy must be used in dawah work and 50% in his material need. So this is the formula which I may call one man, two mission. So if these Muslims who are living in Western countries as diaspora, if they adopt this formula, the result will be very, very great. This diaspora, at present, this diaspora is a potentially positive diaspora. At present, this these Muslims in diaspora are positive diaspora, and potentially these Muslims in diaspora living in Western countries are potentially positive diaspora. And if they adopt one man, two mission formula, they will successfully turn this potential into actual. And the result will be great. They will be able to Islamize the whole world. They will be able to spread Islam on the international scale. So I can say that these 10 million Muslims have a great job, a great duty. They are in a position to do the work on an international level without any sacrifice. They are living in a world where there is religious freedom. There is no fear of religious persecution. So if the only condition is that they adopt peaceful method. The only condition is that they must adopt peaceful method. If they adopt peaceful method, they can do the work on a great scale, and result will be very, very great. So my advice to these Muslims, which I call Muslims in diaspora in our present world, they must adopt this formula, one man, two mission, and they must adhere completely the peaceful method. Completely. They must refrain from all kind of protest. They must refrain themselves from all kind of complaint. Even they must refrain themselves by all kind of hate and revenge. If they adhere these values, they can do a historical role to Islamize, to spread the mission of Islam throughout the world. And also there is a very big, also there is a very important aspect of this Dawah work. Everywhere in these countries, I have traveled a lot in Europe and America. So always I found that those Muslims who are settled in these developed countries, they are always they are living in complaint about their next generation, about their boys, their about their boys. They say that our next generation or our boys are have become have don't hear our advice. They they see revolt among them, revolt. They don't adhere their advice. They are doubtful that Islam is a final truth. So they are living in complaint. They are living in pain that although they adhere Islamic tenets, but their next generation is going astray. So I would like to say that this phenomena is not due to due to their due to any shortcoming in the next generation. It is not correct to say that their boys were inherently enemy of Islam. No. The reason is that these boys were educated in modern schools, modern colleges, so they became a rational thinker. They became the first generation was born in Muslim countries. They were they they were educated in madrasa, in Muslim schools or Muslim educational institutions. But these new generations, these boys and girls, were educated in Western schools and Western colleges. So they became irrational. It is not, it is not a case of blasphemy, but it is a case of reason. So they want to understand Islam in rational terms. They want to Islam in scientific terms. So if you adopt this 2-point formula, you become a dai, and also you will try to acquire those knowledge, scientific knowledge, because a dai needs to know the mind of Madhu when you will try to address those people who are living in Western countries, those and they think in scientific terms. So you will be compelled to learn these disciplines. You will prepare yourself to address those people, and thus you will become a scientific dai. Thus you will become a scientific dai, a rational dai, a logical dai. And then you will be able to address your boys and girls also. Your boys and girls are in need of someone who may address them in rational terms. So if you adopt this formula, you will try to become a dai, a modern dai in modern sense. You will prepare yourself. You will prepare yourself to become a scientific dai, to become a rational dai. And when you become a rational dai, a scientific dai, you will also be able to address your boys, your girls, your next generation. So I think that this is not only our work, but is also a solution for your problem. On one side, it is dawa work, and on the other side, it is also a solution to your problem regarding your your generation, your coming generation. So I advise these Muslims in diaspora who are living in Europe and America to adopt dawa mission, dawa culture. This this is not this is not a this is a very great job. If you adopt dawa culture, if you adopt dawa mission, you will be rewarded paradise. In present world, you will find a solution regarding your boys. You are facing a problem. You are facing that your boys, your generation is now a problem generation. So you will find a solution to this problem. So there are twofold reward for you, twofold reward. One pertaining to this world and the other pertaining to hereafter, world hereafter. In this world, you will be able to save your generation from becoming atheist or liberal or going astray. And in the world hereafter, you will be rewarded paradise. A paradise is the greatest reward. Paradise is the eternal bliss, eternal happiness, eternal fulfillment. So I will call to the Muslims in diaspora in our present world to adopt this formula. This is the only way of salvation, the only way of blessing, the only way of success. I think that my call will be received positively. I think that those Muslims living in diaspora will hear it in a positive way, will respond to it in a positive way, and adopt this formula, that is one man, two mission. And there is a good tiding for them, twofold good tiding. One, they will be able to save their generation, and then they will be rewarded paradise in the world hereafter. May God bless you. May God help you realize this noble cause.